Not so much with Marco. I'm not really that familiar with Marco's circumstance.
But then why
I know that Ted
retweet
has
it?
a problem, but I think that because I'm not sure. I mean, let people make their own determination.
Look, this is a pattern. This is a game he plays. He says something that's edgy and outrageous, and then the media flocks and covers that, and then no one else can get any coverage on anything else. And that worked when there were 15 people running for president. And this is not about going after Donald Trump. It isn't. I know people want to obsess about that.
Marco Rubio and Donald Trump taking rhetorical aim at each other after their 1-2 finish in the South Carolina primary. Obviously, tensions grow as it appears that Rubio may turn out to be the establishment favorite. Let's discuss that now with our panel. Joining me on the anchor desk, the former chief of staff to United States Congressman Walter Jones of North Carolina, Glen Downs. And via voice line from a place where Glen and I used to work, Washington, D.C., it's Ari Rabin-Havt. He's the former advisor to Senate Leader Harry Reid, and he's now the host of The Agenda on Sirius XM Radio's Progress Channel. Ari, first to you as our token Democrat here. I know you like it when Republicans attack each other, but we're going to ask you to answer this as a political scientist tonight. What do you think is going to transpire here? Will Rubio come on in the Republican ranks as the establishment favorite?
I mean, I have to say I'm done trying to predict what the Republican Party is doing, JD, because I am clearly bad at it, right? I mean, I would have never thought that Donald Trump would end up at this point with more than double the amount of delegates of the rest of the field. That is completely insane to me. And if I were the Republican Party, that would scare the hell out of me.
Well, Ari confounded Glen by what has happened. And truth be told, a lot of Republicans, especially a lot of establishment Republicans, are likewise confounded. Jeb Bush is out of the race. Donald Trump is picking up the delegates. As a Republican, your reaction to what's going on?
Well, it's very interesting. Obviously, we're as Ari indicated, a different kind of cycle entirely. The people that I know in Washington are desperate to get it down to one establishment candidate so that they can turn the media industrial complex, the money, and the party mechanisms against Trump, against Cruz. But they can't quite get it down there yet, and Governor Kasich's hanging in there. So we'll see what some of these machinations yield. Well, let me turn to Ari for his assessment of his own party. You know, as of Saturday, it looked like it was really going to be a Donnybrook between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. Now, suddenly the spin is the march of Hillary is on and it is inevitable. Your take on that?
I mean, I think it's a question of calendar, right? Through March 25th, it's a really good calendar for Hillary Clinton. The question is, can Bernie Sanders maintain his fundraising and kind of enthusiasm until the primary gets to states that look better for him? And if he can, it's not over, and he could take it all the way to June. And if he can't, it is over. And I think it's a question of supporter enthusiasm for his campaign. Will a string of losses dampen that?
Glen, let's move to another major issue, the vacancy on the Supreme Court. Obviously, grassroots conservatives say, look, it's an election year, put the kibosh on anything, but now you're starting to hear, well, in fact, the new senator from North Carolina, Tom Tillis, is saying, well, maybe we ought to let the process go ahead. What do you think is the best advice for Republicans on Capitol Hill? Well, probably the best advice is to think before opening your mouth and making promises like Mitch McConnell did initially. You know, both sides have been pretty hypocritical about their stands on confirming nominees in situations like this, and kind of where they stand depends on where they sit. But McConnell came out of the chute, promised to block the nomination, and now they've been backpedaling. So we'll see what happens next. Ari, we remember back during the presidency of George W. Bush, it was Chuck Schumer who said, no more court nominations. Isn't this a case of what's good for the donkey is good for the elephant and for the American people?
I mean, yet we had Samuel Alito and John Roberts confirmed. I would say here's the problem I think Republicans have. They have their best negotiating leverage over a nominee right now. And by doing what they did, they kind of sacrificed that leverage, because when Hillary Clinton is elected president, or when Bernie Sanders is elected president next November, their negotiating leverage over that Supreme Court nominee goes out the window, and they should expect an even more progressive justice to get appointed than who Barack Obama will appointed. I'm shocked they didn't realize that and are going to lose their leverage over it.
Glenn, 20 seconds. I guess I'm not shocked. Ari is telling us it's a certainty there's going to be a Democrat president, but you get the final word.
Well, whatever leverage Republicans have now, listen, if Hillary Clinton's elected president or Bernie Sanders elected president, what happens with this Supreme Court nominee is not going to make much difference in the end anyway.
March leftward. Perhaps that's music to the ears of Ari Rabin-Havt. Gentlemen, we'll have to leave it there. Ari, our thanks to you in Washington. And Glenn, as always, we appreciate you right here. Now, got to tell you, get ready for Donald Trump and the night the lights went out in Georgia.